I remember when I first started learning Dutch.
When I really started to take learning Dutch seriously, and people would say things like, Casey, why would you waste your time with that?
Everyone in the Netherlands speaks English now anyway. Dutch is only spoken in one country.
I'm here to tell you otherwise. Learning Dutch has been one of the best things I've done, and I want to give you my reasons as to why you should learn Dutch too.
Okay, first up, let's talk numbers.
There are 26 million speakers of the Dutch language as a first or second language. Dutch is spoken not only in the Netherlands, but it's also spoken throughout the Caribbean, in places like Curaçao and Sint Maarten. Belgium is another country where a version of Dutch is spoken. And not to mention Afrikaans, which is also a mutually intelligible language spoken by 16 million people. So yes, it's considered another language, but yes, you can also understand it. So adding all of this up, you basically gain access to an extra 42 million people. How crazy is that? When someone says to you that Dutch is only spoken in one country, that is completely false. And being able to have conversations and share stories and experiences with an extra 42 million people on the planet is amazing. That is the number one reason why you should learn Dutch. I like to see Dutch as a bit of a gateway language. So once you've learned Dutch, I feel like it's a really nice stepping stone to lead onto other Germanic-based languages like the Scandinavian languages or German itself. Throughout the timeline and history of language development, when all of these languages came down from German, they had, North, West, East, and South German. So West German actually covered English, Frisian, Dutch, High and Low German at the time, and Scots. So having this access to those sorts of languages, once you've got the grammar structures down packed and the sound combinations and spelling and sort of those other aspects of language, these languages become so much more achievable and so much more understandable if you wanted to continue on into learning other languages. I was watching a Swedish film not that long ago, and I was so incredibly surprised at how many of the words I was able to pick up just by listening and recognizing that certain nouns and things had almost exactly the same word. So if you had any interest in Scandinavian languages or German itself, I feel like Dutch is that perfect middle language that will give you a nice little introduction into the world of Germanic languages. Learning another language is the perfect way to learning about your own learning style. So learning how to really hone in on what helps you learn, what helps you retain information, what you find entertaining and motivating to do in your learning skills. And this isn't really knowledge that everyone has. It took me a really long time to work out what techniques work best for me and how I actually am as a learner. So I think jumping into the world of learning languages is the perfect way to really get to know your own learning style, but also having the environment to really have fun with it and change things up as much as needed and know exactly what works for you. Knowing your learning style only adds a range of benefits to other aspects of your life, so I cannot recommend enough getting to know your learning style through learning a language. Hey guys, so I'm just going to quickly interrupt and give a little mention to our sponsor for this week's video, which is Skillshare. I'm a big fan of Skillshare because I'm a big fan of online learning, and I love that you can obviously select your interests, but you can also select classes based on your skill level, how much time you've got, and it really works with your schedule, not against it. Skillshare is way cheaper than taking normal classes and lessons, so it's super budget friendly at just $10 a month. Another thing I really like about Skillshare is that the classes are taught by industry professionals. So the classes are packed full with content and really useful information and of a really high standard. So this is probably my favorite thing about using Skillshare specifically for online learning. If you haven't checked it out already, I highly recommend it. So the first 1,000 people to click on the link in the description will get a free premium trial. Back to the video, guys. If you are living in the country, I cannot stress enough as to how much learning Dutch will change your experience of living there. Yes, I know most Dutch people living in the Netherlands also speak English, but say you're at a party and it only takes one person to make a joke in Dutch or someone to say something for everyone to just switch back to their mother language and you're on the outer again. Learning the language makes people open up to you in an incredibly new way, and you understand so much more of the culture and you really understand why the Dutch are the way they are. I mean, even if you're basing yourself in the Netherlands temporarily, this is the number one way to make the most of that experience. Even if it is only for 12 months or 2 years or 6 months, the amount of benefits that you get from the culture and the people around you from learning the language will outweigh all of the time and effort it takes to learn a new language. I promise, I swear to you, it will be worth it. Learn Dutch. So I know my favorite part of learning another language has been all of the media and things that you kind of gain access to once you've learned another language. You gain access to a whole new set of jokes and sayings and movies and songs and heaps of different content that's produced just in that language. Some of my favorite songs now are in Dutch, and I never would have been able to appreciate them or understand them if I hadn't taken the time to learn the language. I've been able to listen to podcasts and listen to people really sharing their stories and their thoughts. And I feel like that has been my number one, my favorite thing about learning the language is all of this content that you gain access to. One of my favorite podcasts is Use and Yay, and it's two well-known Dutch musicians that interview other creatives. And I love listening to the in-depth conversations and knowing that I can understand them and understand a process and a different way of thinking from all of their guests is super, super rewarding and definitely one of my favorite outcomes of learning the Dutch language. So my last reason has to do more with work, and I felt like this is kind of self-explanatory, but being able to learn another language of a country makes you so much more hireable. I know when I first moved to the Netherlands, I really felt trapped working in hospitality, which is a field that I am not experienced in and not very good at. So I feel like learning the language for me was more to do with making sure that I could actually get a job in a field that I was skilled in and something that I was passionate about. Learning another language always opens up job opportunities, and whether that's being able to move to another country or work online or be a liaison between two different companies. And I know globally a lot of companies are actually based in the Netherlands and in Amsterdam. So learning Dutch specifically gives you a massive one up on being able to be hired by one of these companies or moving to Europe. Learning any other language obviously improves your hireability and your job opportunities, but Dutch in particular, I think, is a perfect gateway to the rest of Europe. So that is my last reason why I think people should be learning the Dutch language. And if you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up for me. It does wonders to the algorithm. If I've forgotten anything, please let me know in the comments below. I love going through them and reading them and seeing what you guys think as well. If you like these kind of videos, don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye.